Okay, so the video got cut off, ran out of power. What was I saying? So I was kind of talking about how Gen Z, um, yeah. So I was kind of saying how like it kind of seems like you guys want to like fit into your group without being like, oh, like stand out too much because like you get the slight wrong. You don't want to slight someone. You don't want to make someone feel bad, and the wrong quickly. Yeah, because that's definitely like what I was doing, and well, at least our own version of it, my own version of it, at least how I kind of perceived it. But the thing is, I call people out way too easily. So I thought I was doing that, but I guess not so much. No, actually, I was really doing that a lot. Be part of, not exactly be part of the group, but definitely be like, kind of be your own person, but kind of like don't mess up the group. I mean, me myself were very isolated, so I didn't even consider myself part of the group. So that was not an issue for me. Like, I didn't really care what the group was, but I also didn't want to disturb it. So that's kind of why I get that angle a bit, and it's a little confusing sometimes. Yeah, because essentially for me, it's like you've got half of the equation right, not the other half. Yeah, because that's a really big shift. The whole block thing, internet thing, for sure, and the mental health side that kind of goes along with it. Because every single time I run into a younger person that's like, I'm almost, it's like rewiring. It's a rewind literally, but it's like I'm almost expecting the interaction to go in like the opposite way because that's what I'm used to, and it's like a complete 180 sometimes. Um, yeah, and that's what I mean by half, because it's like we've got the first half right, but then like the outcome, that's the other half I'm talking about, to where like it's the 180. So that's kind of what I meant by you got half of it right. So so that's kind of why like they've got the mental health side down, but then the individuality thing, that's like how do you balance those two? It's like the opposite effect. Here in the U.S., it's like you're not free to be an individual in your own family unit, but collectively you're more free. And in Europe, it's like the opposite, I think. In a community sense, they're more alike, and it's really more at the familial level where it's more individualized, if you think of it like that. But anyways, I'm gonna go back to the fire warehouse thing, because that's really what the original video was. This one and the last one. So I was saying something like, you've got all these burning warehouses, right? And it's because like, you've got this oppressive, system here, financially speaking, kind of like, work economy, right? And work, right? Kind of got you locked in. And I said something like, barriers, boundaries, whatever. They don't really exist in nature, and they're artificial, right? For the most part. Some people want to hunker and stay. Some people want to move around. That's kind of a given too. But that's what I mean. Financially speaking, that's just what the system is not allowing to happen. It's not very flexible system itself, financial system, right? It's very difficult to actually make money just the way it's designed, for the most part, fairly is what I'm going to say. But now let's move to actual physicals and borders, right? Like now we're talking like country boundaries, right? Walls. Those don't really exist. They're man-made. But my key point is this: it's not really the boundary of like the U.S. or Mexico. It's more like the fact you can't really move out of your own house. Dead end job, Amazon. That's kind of where I got the idea from. A gig worker, right? A DoorDasher, Uber person. TaskRabbit. So we're talking about everything here. Essentially, the entire it's a new category. You're not the contractor, but you're not employed. You're a gig worker. That's the new class of work I'm referring to specifically, because you don't have the freedom of your own business. Being the contractor, you don't have the protection of a union, right? Of being in like a state or governmental type position, or another one or even a public one where you're afforded a team to protect you. And I specifically say the gig work because, yeah, it's more of a gray area, very obscure for sure right now. Legally, and history will be like, yeah, really gray area back then. So that's where all the exploitation is right now. And Gen Z is honestly making up a big chunk of that demographic, right? And even the elderly now, I think, because I don't know, maybe. But the thing is that you're working at this Amazon job, right? For example, and well, I mean, repetitive, right? Like dull, boring. You're probably watching this video on your free time, right? While they're watching you on the camera. So you kind of get what I'm talking about here. I was talking about websites earlier. You don't like your MySpace account, or you think Facebook is better, you move to Facebook. You download your data and whatever. You can literally, well, not literally, but no, almost quite literally, copy and paste yourself online if you really wanted to. I mean, nowadays you can do the same thing with the phone, right? You don't like Android, Apple, Android, and there should actually be. I mean, it's not going to work exactly because each website's unique. The metadata doesn't really transfer over in that kind of way, or even the website data. But you kind of get the idea. It's kind of there. You do kind of move your you have the ability to move your identity around. But what happens if you don't like Amazon working there? You don't like Uber, or you don't like any of these gigs because they're all the same thing. They're all the exact same thing. They're all dead-end jobs. Right. They're not very fair. They're not very ethical. You're making the big man richer, essentially. And online, you would literally just block, right? You would delete your account or transfer it over. Don't delete your account in real life. No, don't do that. Well, actually, that's its own video. Let's see. Do what you want, because it's your own life, and obviously seek help first or whatever. But let's move on from that. Try to go back to the warehouse thing. So because it is kind of a repetitive, kind of one of those types of jobs, and that's really the thing. At some point, and let's go back to the whole mental health side of Gen Z, because like I said, they grew up with the internet. You guys grew up with the internet, and that's kind of it. You're used to the default, the system working, right? You report someone, they get banned. They keep making accounts, they get banned from the website. Blocking, that whole thing. That's the system designed to work as it should. So when you grow up, right, and you see the system's like a corrupt system, then well, yeah, of course you're going to be annoyed that it's not working. And let's go back to the website analogy. Theoretical, because honestly, if a website didn't allow you to, let's say you didn't like a website and that website ended up being like a scam website where they don't really want to let you go, right? It's a scam website. Actually, that describes this country perfectly. So you're on one of those scam websites, and you don't even know how you got there, right? You just kind of got there because that's how it's always been. So you're on the scam website, and normally you would just say transfer your data in your social media account. Let's say MySpace or Facebook wasn't letting you go, and now they're trying to scam you or whatever. They don't want to let you go. So what do you start doing? It's not really a website. You don't log off. Well, except when you go to sleep. You log off when you go to sleep, I guess. It's a little bit hard to think of an analogy because honestly, if a website kind of locked you into its website, there would be court cases everywhere, right? I guess the closest analogy might be more on the domestic side of things. This house, for example, you get locked in, even though it's like your account in a sense, it's like, it's like you get all trashy about it. You start crashing the websites, exactly what you would do. You figure out what the website's thing is for. Facebook, what are they up for? They like making money, advertisements. So you make the website unappealing in such a way where like the advertisements are like, oh no, Facebook, for example, is associated with naughty behavior, or the people there don't like it, like the thugs go there or something. So that's kind of what you do. You ruin the space on purpose. That would be what you would do most likely, because that's the thing. If the website exists to make money, or has become defaulted into money, because that's how, I would imagine, hopefully, like when Zuckerberg first made Facebook, it was like, hey, we're just having fun, everyone's gonna have fun, and it's just for fun, right? Versus, I'm gonna make a business out of it. Or you have the good website like that and it turns into a business. But either way, currently, that's what we need to focus on. And makes money. Google makes money. All these things make money. And that is exactly why they regulate speech on these websites. You don't just say anything you want. That's why it's regulated. Which makes it possible this video itself might be regulated, but I don't know. That's a little on the meta side of things. But no, they do this. I'll explain why. Because if, this household, for instance, it's more of an identity thing. Do you attack yourself or do you attack your environment? No, you don't attack yourself, because that's the thing. They tell you don't commit suicide, don't cut yourself. But then why are you doing this in the first place? The environment. So you attack the environment. You change the environment. You talk to the boss says no, supervisor says no. You go to any gig work and it's always, oh, look at the app. What does the app say? Oh, you got fired for no reason. Here's your notification from the app itself, not even human contact. So that's what you do. You don't if you're on the app itself, example. If you don't like working on the app and the app isn't letting you delete your account, what do? You get them to delete your account or whatever. You make your photo or your bio on this gig worker app, bad. So the customer has to see it, or, you know what I mean? So you kind of make, you start going in that direction. And, in the warehouse, that's what it turns into. It turns into, someone explodes, someone gets mad. And that's what we're seeing right now, that they're not giving an outlet to vent out. I would imagine that burning a warehouse is more of a last resort type scenario, but there's an escalation to trying to resolve things. And if one party is trying and the other one doesn't try, and collectively as a corporation, society, they're because that's kind of the thing, they are collective. It's not just Google, it's Google, Apple, Uber, collectively. If collectively these companies are employing gig workers, and collectively they're kind of no, we're not giving them rights, essentially, then that's what's going to happen eventually. The government's obviously just a puppet, so that's why we're seeing burning warehouses, not marching up on the Lincoln Memorial or something. Or hey, that's why we're not seeing Capitol 6 riots, because that's where the real thing is at. The corporations and money, not the government. It's the corporations at this point. Advertisements. And it's a very simple solution. Pay people a fair amount and people will go along with their system. You want your system to exist? Well, you're going to have to play 50-50 with the people. If your system isn't giving the 50-50, well, that stress point is going to exponentially grow in one way or the other. They either love you or they hate you. So, if you tip into the negative side, then they're going to hate you. And that's exactly what you're seeing right now in society. There's more to any random CEO who whatever. But anyways, that's what's going on. It's exponential. It's exponential because, like I said, there's an escalation process, and that's what itself makes it exponential. Give it another week, and we're going to start seeing more stuff go down, guaranteed. We're definitely hitting the tipping point right now. Now that we're talking about property damage. Oh, here's a fun one, property damage. Why is it that in the United States, they care about property damage, but they don't care about human damage? And then like in other countries, like in Europe, they care more about the human cost of doing things than like the property damage, right? So it's just kind of pathetic when you look at it. But not even Europe, but like, but probably more like, Iran's a good example where like they keep, or China, right? The countries that we hate the most, apparently. So we knock down their bridge, and like 3 days later, they have a fully functioning bridge. Because to them, they care more about the concept, right? The message to the people. You know, like fuck the bridge. It's just a bridge. We'll build another one. You destroy a building, they build another one, right? It's the people that they're focused on, and that's why they're literally sending, messages on the missiles and bombs that they're sending out. So that's a very key and differentiating factor here. On the vice versa hand, meanwhile here we've got one citizen, like literally, like you've seen those Instagram and Facebook pictures where like 3 people in the family, like the youngest one's like a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old elementary school kid, and they're holding up like an entire arsenal of weaponry. So it's like the complete opposite. So yeah, I think that kind of sums down. I mean, it definitely goes on a tangent, but yeah, I think that really kind of sums down why we're seeing warehouses being burnt right now at the moment. That's just simply what happens. Literally. You have an environment within an environment. We're getting meta here, but everything has its tips and levers. You move variables in one direction too much. And like literally, if you want to think of everything as a system, even the way people think psychologically speaking, everything's a system. You've got variables and levers everywhere. You move one, you get a response somehow in another. Hopefully that made sense. But yeah, I think I'll leave it here. I'll probably go do something else.